Hello and welcome to the fourth video that I'm gonna put up. This is gonna be about evidence and how science works. And as you can see, I have my lab coat on because I am doing science in the lab, and there's some scientists who accept love and accept Jesus, and some people who thinks everything is pointless, but it's kind of 50-50. So science does not take a stance about this, but you can, using science, prove that it is true. And I'm gonna start with eyewitnesses account, because, for example, Darwin, when he went to this island, he found something called the Darwin finches, and it's basically different finches like birds. And this is the only case they have for evolution, since that there has been no proof of evolution, and this is what they have. But you can ask, how many eyewitnesses did he have, Darwin, at this trip? He had only crew members, and they were not trained in science. They did not, for example, have lab coats. So you have like 40, maybe 40 crew members would be as much as one scientist when it comes to proving and knowing. So he had not really any good eyewitnesses at all to his finches. And if you go on now, where's this Darwin's finches? There's no proof of it. It's just nonsense. In different religions that are not real religions, like in Islam, you have this guy Muhammed, and they believe that he went to Mount Hira, and the angel Gabriel spoke to him and told him to write the Quran and everything. But how very convenient, there was no one there was no eyewitnesses. Maybe Muhammad just made it up. He was alone, he was meditating, maybe he was a bit confused, maybe there was some girl had left him, so he was very sad. So we don't know, there was no eyewitnesses at all. But on the other hand, in the case for Jesus, if Jesus died and rise from the dead, we know he's God. But if he didn't, we know he's not God. Or we can all agree that this is the premise we have. But right in the Bible it says 500 eyewitnesses testified and said, we saw him rise from the dead. And how could they get 500 people to all tell the same story if the story is not true? There's a very respected science institute in the US called the Discovery Institute, and they do a lot of research, and they have now calculated the exact probability that life can spontaneously come out of nothing on a planet without the help of intelligent help from outside. And the ratio is the chance is 1 out of 10 to the power of 40,000. There's 1 and 40,000 zeros following, and that number is bigger than the amount of atoms in the universe. Okay, so that's what the revolutionists thinks, that this happened out of chance. But on the other hand, what is the probability that an omnipotent being can create what that being wants to create? It's 100%, because it's omnipotent. It can do anything. And how do we know that God is omnipotent? Well, if he was not omnipotent, he wouldn't be God. But it's as simple as that. You don't have to make these things very complicated. You put one thing here, and you understand that this has to be true. That leads to that this has to be true. You see? This is how science works. You test something, you have 500 eyewitnesses, and you're done. To put this into comparison, I would like to point out that there is often, when you talk about evolution, people say a lot of the time, well, if evolution is true, then everything is random and just can make this complicated things from nothing. Well then, if a tornado goes through a junkyard and it just randomly puts together stuff to make a working, like Boeing 737, whatever the name is, a working, like a complex airplane, a machine that you can use and fly and maybe sell. That's ridiculous, but that's what the evolutionists think. And the probability that this tornado thing would happen with the airplane is 1 of 10 to the power 32, which is a very big number, but it's very much smaller than this nonsense with life coming from nothing, because I just show you the number. Another thing that you might want to know is that the Discovery Institute has now calculated the probability that someone who does not live by the standards of the Lord will avoid hell, actually, because you can kind of forget about heaven. That's very close to 0%. But even they have made different scenarios, and the nicest scenario for you that hate God is scenario B12, and that's a very modern interpretation of the Bible. And in this scenario, if you don't live by the standards of the Lord, the chance of avoiding hell is only, what is it exactly? 12.48%. So the chance is very low. You will probably go to hell anyway, even with a very modern interpretation of the Bible. So now you know the numbers. I'm not saying you have to change, but you should maybe do that because you know the numbers now. Satan cannot set the tax regulations in society. Only God can do that. So the good parties will listen to God and not to Satan, and they will say like 12%, it's good. 25, no, that's what Satan would put. We put 12. You might have suffering sometime, but it will always be good in the end because you know that Jesus will save you and you will live forever in paradise. What you choose? To die and to rot in the ground, or to live in paradise? Well, you choose paradise. It's not a hard decision. So I think I have convinced a lot of people to not to turn away from the love, but to go into the love. And this is why I do this video. This is why it's so important that you really listen to me, and you make it make sense in your mind and in your heart, because this is kind of where Jesus actually really lives. Yeah, like